Sometimes people ask me, hey, does this MOS rank up faster, or what jobs or what MOSs in the Army would allow me to move up and rank quicker? Well, I have no idea, so no, I'm just kidding. Let me stick around, let me explain that. What's up, my friends? US Army veteran ThatChrisChaos, and today I'm gonna try to help you out with trying to decide what MOSs, what jobs in the United States Army would allow you to earn rank at a quicker pace than maybe certain other ones. But a key thing to note with this is do not pick a job in the Army because it ranks up quicker. Pick something you're gonna enjoy. And if it happens to be a job that allows you to earn rank faster, well, that's great because you can earn more money quicker and get more responsibility quicker. So that's what we'll be doing in today's video. Is I'm gonna be sitting down, we're gonna go over some of the kind of promotion requirements and kind of explain a little bit as to what jobs may have the potential to allow you to rank up quicker, but also probably dive a little bit into ones that maybe will be at a slower kind of pace. So kind of a little bit of both. Now, before we kind of dive into what MOS is promote the fastest, you should probably have a little bit at least of an understanding as far as how promotion works in general. I won't go super complex with it, but essentially, right, an E1, which is a private, to an E4, a specialist, that kind of process is for the most part the same regardless of what your MOS or what your job is. There is a little bit of flex in there when it comes to like infantry, because yeah, sometimes infantry individuals will kind of rank up a little bit faster than say someone who's not infantry. The reason for that is a lot of times infantry is a little bit more motivated to want to get people into, you know, fire team leaders and squad leaders and team leaders and section sergeants and everything like that. So they're a little bit more kind of focused on kind of getting people into those leadership positions to lead soldiers, to be in charge of these soldiers compared to certain MOSs. So yeah, sometimes when you're in 11 Bravo or another MOS that's in the infantry, you might find that you will rank up from private to specialist a little bit quicker than someone maybe has an 88 mic or someone who works in an office or something like that. That's not always a guaranteed thing, but for the most part, you know, no matter what your MOS is, it's the same requirements to move up in the rank. Just sometimes the leadership in like infantry units are a little bit more motivated to try to push soldiers to rank up quicker than certain other MOSs might be, or certain leadership in other units that are not maybe, you know, with 11 Bravos or whatever the case might be. Typically, promotion doesn't really start to factor in with MOSs until you get to these guys right here. You got sergeant and staff sergeant right here. So that's when it kind of starts to factor in with your MOS. Otherwise, these lower ones, you know, your private, your specialist, it's for the most part kind of the same-ish, you know, same kind of standards as far as getting promoted, but certain units may motivate things to go a little bit quicker. So to understand which MOSs are going to allow you to get to those sergeant ranks a little bit quicker, you need to understand a little bit about the promotion process and the promotion points. Promotion points will play a big factor into this, and soldiers earn promotion points in various different ways. That's by going to the board, by qualifying for their weapon, by earning awards, by getting military or civilian education, all sorts of different ways that soldiers rack up these points. The maximum amount of points that a soldier can get is 850 points. I mean, that's like a super high-speed individual. That's someone who is maxing their physical fitness tests, expert in weapons, they are acing the promotion boards, they've got probably a bachelor's degree. I don't know, it's probably a lot to actually even be able to equal 850 points. And those points are relevant for people who are looking to get promoted into the sergeant and the staff sergeant. After that, it's a little bit of a different process, and we're not gonna go that in depth with this video, really just to the sergeant and staff sergeant kind of level to kind of give you an idea as to which MOSs are gonna allow me to get to those higher ranking individuals or those higher ranking positions. Now, in order for us to be able to do this, we're gonna have to, we're gonna have to be able to come over to the computer to look at the cutoff scores for November. So this is as of November. So be aware, the point requirements to go to sergeant or staff sergeant change monthly. That really is basically varying because of which MOSs need sergeants, which MOSs need staff sergeants, and so on and so forth. So the less of a demand there is for that particular rank, the higher the points are. The more of a demand that there is for someone at that rank, then the lower the points will be to make it easier for people to get promoted and for them to fill slots and fill positions at that rank. So even though we're looking at the November one, these numbers can easily change from December to January to whatever, right? So a lot of times you have to base it off of the promotion points for that particular month. I'll leave a link down below for November's if you wanna look at that. But for the most part, if you Google like Army cutoff scores or something like that, or Army promotion cutoff scores, you can probably find it for the particular month that you wanna find out information about. So using the basis of November, because that's when I'm shooting this video, let's look at what the cutoff scores are to kind of give you a better idea as to how hard it might be for a specific MOS to rank up or how easy it might be, whatever the case may end up being. So here we have the November cutoff scores for sergeant and for staff sergeant. The PZ is primary zone and SZ is secondary zone. Basically, primary zone is, you meet the requirements for the primary zone as an eligible time frame as far as being in the Army, as well as being in that rank. Usually it's easier to make primary zone than it is to make secondary zone, as secondary zone usually requires more points because it's kind of like trying to get promoted early, essentially. So is what we're basically looking for is low numbers. So example, 09 Lima, your translators, pretty dang easy to probably get promoted, in that one. But of course that requires language, so it might be tough for some people. But along with it, right below it, you see 11 Bravo, right? 11 Bravo for both even sergeant and staff sergeant, pretty low. I mean, just simply to be recommended for the board, or actually recommended for promotion after you complete the board, I think you have to have 350 for sergeant and 450 for staff sergeant. So already, if you complete the board and pass the board, you're going to be past these points already. So you can easily make sergeant or staff sergeant as of the November numbers, at least. As you can see, there are a lot of MOSs that are kind of in that same kind of ballpark right now as of November. You even got your 12 Bravos, your 12 Charlies. Scrolling down a little bit more farther down here, you get your 12 Mikes, but it looks like it's a little harder in the secondary zone, so you pretty much need to be in the primary zone if you want to try to make it. You can see here the 12 Papas, pretty easy to make sergeant, but gets really difficult to make staff sergeant. And that's kind of what you want to do, is you want to look at whatever the current cutoff scores are, the most recent ones, maybe even compare it to like some of the past months, because you can kind of see trends, right? You can see that if this MOS just consistently has like high numbers like 798, for example, then it's probably really hard to advance to like sergeant or staff sergeant if you were seeing back-to-back months of that MOS having high numbers. But if you go and you're seeing like, 1 month it's like really low, and then the next month is still pretty low, and just continues to keep that same trend, then it's probably a good safe bet to say that for a while, this one is probably going to be a pretty easy one to rank up in. You can see here a couple of them actually start going up high right here. You can definitely see that 14 Golf, 14 Hotel, 14 Papa, and a little bit of 14 Tango, not too bad, actually that's pretty good, but 14 Tango for staff sergeant anyways. Those MOSs looks like it's really difficult to probably rank up in. Let's kind of scroll through and let's see some of your common MOSs that people usually want to know about. You have 19 Kilo, really low numbers right there. So pretty easy to probably rank up as a 19 Kilo. Even a popular one that people want that's a very hard one to get, your 17 Charlie, your cybersecurity guys. Pretty easy to rank up in that one as well if you can get into that MOS. Even here, your 25 Bravo, right? It's a pretty popular one that people want. This one, not as easy as like an 11 Bravo, but, you come out of the board with 350 points. You maybe have a couple of awards. Your PT score still gets calculated in there. Everything else, you can probably make that 300 or that 430 points. You can see here your 25 Echo, that gets pretty tough, as well as your Limas, your Mike, your November for 25 November. A pretty popular one is your 25 Uniform. That one, pretty easy. So you can probably easily rank up as a 25 Uniform. 25 Romeo, ooh, that's rough for sergeant, but staff sergeant, you can get past the hump, or these points drop down for the Romeo for sergeant, then maybe a little easier to then move up to staff sergeant if those numbers stay pretty low. Some other pretty low ones we see 31 Delta here, 35 Fox, 35 Lima, 35 Mike. Moving even into your medical ones, like you got 68 Alpha, that one takes a little bit of work, not too bad. Your Bravo, fairly easy. 68 Fox, really easy one. That's only 40 points. You can pretty easily get to promoted to sergeant on that one. Your more popular, 68 Whiskey, 433 points. Pretty manageable. Pretty easy to kind of get that one with a few awards and your good, decent PT score. Staff sergeant, super easy to probably make. And then my old MOS, 88 Mike, pretty easy for both sergeant and staff sergeant, which was not the case when I was in the Army. For the most part, when I was in, 88 Mike for sergeant was probably in the 300, 400s. It's pretty average on that one, so it wasn't too bad. It was achievable, but staff sergeant was 798, so that one was way hard and pretty much impossible to kind of get. Without having some kind of civilian education and transferring military education to civilian or going to college, you were having a real hard time making those kind of points. 89 Alpha, pretty low. 89 Delta, 91 Alpha. Scroll down some more, looks like some of our 91 series ones get pretty easy. 91 Mike, 91 Papa, 91 Sierra. 92 Alpha is a pretty popular MOS as well. Looks like sergeant, pretty decent, right, for making sergeant. Staff sergeant is going to require some work, though, to make staff sergeant. So, you can sit here and go through this whole entire list for November to see currently, as of November scores, which MOSs are on track to possibly get promoted. But especially if you're looking at this and you're not even in the Army right now, and you're just trying to look at this score to try to figure out what MOS to get into, these could definitely easily change by the time you join the Army, by the time you're even eligible to make sergeant or staff sergeant. These numbers will definitely fluctuate. So when you're looking at that chart, right, like I said, just be aware that this is going to change next month. In the next month, it'll change, the following month after that, because it's all based on what is really needed from the Army. Also, make sure that you don't use this same system if you're looking at Reserves and National Guard, because that is completely different. They have a similar model, but for the most part, if you want to be in the National Guard or Reserves and you're looking to get promoted faster, that is a little bit more of a challenge, as Reserves don't promote as easily as Army because it works in a different manner. The way it works in theirs kind of situation is, let's say if you are an E4, let's say 88 Mike, because that was my MOS, right? You're in the Reserves. Well, you want to move up to Sergeant, well then there needs to be a slot available for you to move up into in that kind of position as an 88 Mike at that unit level to be able to become a Sergeant. On active duty, if you're an 88 Mike and you want to move up to Sergeant, but there's no available slots in your unit for an 88 Mike, then you're just going to get moved to another unit. They can't really do that on the Reserve side. So that's why it ends up working a little bit differently on the Reserve side compared to the active duty side. That's why a lot of times you'll see people on the Reserves that have been in the Army for a long time and they're only in E4 because they just didn't have any open slots to move up to an E5 or an E6 or whatever the case might have been. So it definitely works differently. Don't use this kind of model to kind of figure out how it's going to work for you if you're going to Reserves and National Guard. But if you're going active duty, it does kind of work in this manner. So if that's what you're trying to figure out is, does my MOS rank up faster? Google search the current cutoff scores for promotion for enlisted soldiers and look through there, look for the MOS that you're interested in, see what those points are. The lower the points are, the higher the chances are. The higher the points are, then you have to do definitely a lot more work to be able to make those points and get promoted. Check out some of my other videos I got over here. I would definitely recommend those. Links down in the description, social media and everything else. I'm Christopher Chaos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. See ya.